Hey guys, I'm back. And not only am I back, but this is my 1000th video, and the timing on it couldn't have been any more specific, because today we have the test drive Unlimited Solo Crown developer, dev doc, guide, improvements, whatever you want to call it. It's all about test drive Unlimited Solo Crown, and you're going to learn a lot about this game in this video. So now that I got my fresh fade and everything, let's probably take a little bit of a time warp as you see the old version of myself continue on the video. Now, if you weren't aware already, 2 weeks ago I was sent over from the con and KT to London to take part of the whole Yanamize event, which you can check them out. Both pop-ups will be on the screen for you guys to go ahead and check out if you want to see that. If you don't want to, you just want to see the dev doc, you can jump right into this. But basically, I went over to London, which we then drove down in a TUSC branded Audi R8 to France, Paris. Now, as the Yanamize event continued their tour, I stayed in Paris to talk with KT. And with that, I got to see Roman, who is an animation artist at KC. Also got to speak to Adam, who is a sound designer at KT, and of course, Guillaume, who is currently the game director for TDSC. He's moved on up quite a few places as well, and honestly, well deserved to him, and congrats to you for the move up. But that being said, on top of that, I also went to the con in Lille, which we talked about some stuff as well. And yeah, so in this developer document series, you're going to learn a lot about the game. Unfortunately, guys, you're not going to learn everything, because at the same time, the con has to do their own marketing. And at the same time, they don't really want a small YouTuber to announce some pretty big stuff that's going to be happening for launch and onwards as well. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to show you guys all the nitty-gritty details in this developer doc. Now, before I get into that, I want to discuss what I actually talked about at KT and the con. Now, do understand an NDA kind of prevents you from saying everything, but I just want to give you guys some insight as to what I did during my 2 days at the con and KT. So the Monday was when I actually went to KT's office, and right after the end of this vlog, you might notice I said we're going to head over to KT, which is exactly what we did. Now, when I first got there, I spoke to Guillaume and we went over this feedback document. Now, if you weren't aware, way back, probably during the demo, I told you guys that I want to get all of your feedbacks from my YouTube comment streams, and you guys gave that to me. For the interview, you gave me some questions. I had 2 Discord channels in my own Discord for collecting feedback and for the interview questions. I even posted a feedback thread on Reddit, which, believe it or not, KT actually read, and a lot of the things that I mentioned to them and during this day at KT, they already were aware of and knew, and we're actually going to fix some of the things that people have mentioned from the demo. So this is just a mere example of one of the things that I worked on for you guys to basically show to KT when I went there, because I'm not gonna twiddle my thumbs and go there and speak nonsense. Now, on top of that, there was this little notes list, which I'll put up on the screen. This is what we also did during the stream, which again, I also went through as well. And again, there was also the Reddit feedback, which I'll put up on the screen. If you put a comment there, I promise you it was also provided to them as well. I went through everything. So that being said, just to show you some quick little things that I went through, we have things like text chat, which is pretty large. We got things as large as steering animation, more traffic variety. Now, the things in red, by the way, I just kind of wanted to make it so that it's highlighted per se. And small things such as binding is there. Dynamic camera is another thing I mentioned. Custom plates, mouse look enabled, because a lot of you guys are actually pretty pissed you can't actually use your camera to look around. We got super important things like region lock, which, to be fair, is probably the most negative thing about this game that I find, in my opinion. I think region lock is a big thing that should be talked about, and rest assured, I promise you, I did have a discussion with Guillaume regarding that, and you will find a little bit during the developer chat. But a lot of these things I can't tell you what the response is, especially considering that they're just ideas and they haven't really written down on paper this is the perfect solution, we're gonna go ahead on it. But us giving feedback on it definitely helps, and they know what they have to do. So fingers crossed we see some improvements, or at least a solution about that, which I'll get into later. Now, things like realistic clutch, automatic indicators, I think that was a big thing that people didn't like. Race revisions, because there were people that were cheating in the races during the demo. Loading screen music, map changes, picture saving, garage and car system. There's a lot that I discussed during this whole thing, and even things like I said after launch from proximity chat, the clothing shops around the island, customization, OEM, well, typo, come on Lux, what are you doing? OEM plus tuning upgrades, co-driver mode, CRC, cars I want to see post-launch, houses and garages. Literally the most requested feature that we all want to see in this game. What's gonna happen with that? You know, GPS voices. Some people don't like the Alice GPS voice. I went through a lot, and there is a lot, guys. This game isn't perfect, and it's not going to be a game for everyone, and this is a really quick thing that I think a lot of people might understand. A game for everyone is a game for no one. However, that doesn't single out the fact that you can still kind of cater to audiences while making your game sticking to the DNA. And that's kind of what I felt resonate with this whole chat that I had with Guillaume. There's a lot of things we talked about during that whole thing, guys. I learned a lot. I doubt I can really tell you everything I learned, but there was a lot that we discussed in terms of post-launch, monetization, how to really go around that. And the one thing I wanted to say that I was pretty thankful that Guillaume kind of brought it up. He doesn't want to piss off the community in terms of microtransactions, because that's a pretty sensitive topic. So it's very nice to hear things like that. And when the time does come and we hear something official, hopefully it's something that everyone enjoys and it's fair on both sides, for the developers to actually get some more money and revenue into the game to help improve it, and also for the players, where so it's not seen as scummy or, you know, any of that type of BS. So that's just some of the feedback I gave back, guys. I know it's kind of vague and I can't really tell you everything, but it's just because the NDA kind of prevents a lot of the responses that I was given, because sometimes it's just ideas. They're like, yeah, you know, we heard this idea from the players and we're thinking about of how to attack it. It's just an idea for now, but hopefully we can put it in the process later. Or things like, you know, we're working on it, but don't tell them yet, because it's we want to make sure that we market it and everything. So, but honestly, personally, from what we all discussed, I left that conversation pretty happy and on a positive note. So fingers crossed, throughout the process of this game's life, we hear about it nicely. So now that I discussed you basically everything that we talked about for that feedback session, and to be fair, the funny thing was, guys, my main goal was, you know, developer interview, capture some other things of the game development. But what happened is the feedback session and just talking about ideas, you know, how to improve the game and everything, that took up a lot more time than, you know, I really kind of allotted. So the developer chat was kind of squeezed down time-wise. So with that being said, there wasn't a lot I could ask, especially since a lot of the things I discussed in the feedback were in the interview, but I can't really tell you the answer to them, or we couldn't really discuss them because it's just ideas for now. They haven't really thought of solutions. So a lot of things, like I said, I won't be able to tell you, but I promise you it was discussed. And in fact, to be fair, if you typed anything on Reddit, Discord, my Discord, pretty much anything, and even without that being said, there are things that Katie brought up to me where I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about that. They said, oh, we're already working on it. And you'll find that in the next discussion I want to go through. So let me play the dev chat beginning portion, and then I want to talk about the physics, because that's the next big thing I want to showcase to you guys in terms of improvements and where Katie really want to stand on this. Guillaume?
Hi, Alex.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. 1 year?
Yeah, exactly 1 year, basically. 2 weeks ago, 1 year.
Yeah.
Today, you guys are going to talk about Test Drive on the Solar Crown, of course. In the developer interview, there's a lot that I've learned, which I'm sure majority of it I can't say anyways. Yeah. But keep on listen. And you'll find that out in this developer interview. There's things that we're going to talk about, which I'll be able to show in the background. Despite some things I can talk about, there are some that I can. So, first off, Guillaume, do you want to introduce yourself to the community and let them know who you are?
Yeah, I'm Guillaume. So I'm the game director of Test Drive Unlimited.
Yeah.
So I'm basically working on Test Drive, as you know, for now, the present, and the future.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So now that you met Guillaume, let's talk about the next part of this video, and that's physics. Now, luckily enough, I was able to try and update the physics of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, and I was able to get a recording of me on wheel. I'm on the Logitech G Pro, and I was able to run 900 degrees. Unlike the demo, however, I didn't have to force the 900 degrees, and I'll explain that pretty well in terms of the differences from the demo, as well as to how the game feels now. So let's get straight into that. Hop on the wheel cam with the mic, and I'll talk to you guys about how I feel. Okay, so before we get into the physics, I just want to show you guys something really cool in Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, and I never really got to show it in person because we haven't had access to this vehicle, but luckily here I am in France, and now I can show you guys how it works. So here we have the 918 Spider, which, as you all know, is a hybrid system. So you can see there in the bottom right corner, there's a little battery icon which shows up at the moment, and I'm going to show you guys how detailed the dashboard is. So let's start this off. You can see the little white bar that depends on my actual input of the pedal. So that's one of the things that you're going to see pop up on, and then, by the way, this applies to all hybrid vehicles. Next, you can see a battery icon on the actual dashboard in the right gauge cluster. Now if I can floor it, you can see it depletes, and it actually regains while you're coasting as well. So let's see if we can just find a nice straight here. So you can see the battery is depleting on the actual dashboard, and what's going to happen now is if I can let it coast, it'll recharge. If I brake, it'll recharge faster, just like that. And you can see the charge icon and the zero emission there as well. So there it is, showcasing it. So pretty cool to have that. And again, this works for all hybrid vehicles that are in the game. So no matter what hybrid vehicle you see, whether it's be the 918 Spider, or of course the LaFerrari Aperta, which is one of the vehicles I confirmed in a developer interview last year. There's a lot of things you could do, and wow, could have asked for a more perfect sunset. Anyways, let's talk about the physics. Now, unfortunately, it is raining, so a little bit of cheating here, but I'm gonna show you guys the revamped force feedbacks and the physics in Test Drive of the Missile Crown with some of the improvements and requested improvements from the demo. Now, first you're gonna notice is that drifting is a lot better compared to the demo. As you can see, I'm gonna try and put another weight transfer here, and you'll notice the throttle control is a lot more important. You don't need to floor it every time and get away with it, because, well, you can't really floor it and get away with it every time in real life per se, but it just adds more precision when you actually have to play with your throttle, and you notice all the differences, as you can see. And we'll throw it again. Swing it out. And hope we don't hit that. Oh, we did hit it. So you will notice a couple of things here. When I went uphill in the demo, it was a lot harder to keep an angle, or the vehicle at angles where you thought the vehicle shouldn't have spun out. It's now actually possible to hold those angles, which is exactly what a lot of the improvements that a lot of people that tried to drift in the demo really wanted. And this goes for both wheel and the controller. As you can see, well, not that used to it because I've never drifted in hard rain in this game before. I think this is new as well. I don't think we've ever saw rain like this in a demo, but here we go, back up the hill, like so. There's the weight transfer, and not really enough speed to carry through that on the uphill. And just to pick it up on controller so I can show you guys the same thing, got a controller in hand here. Shout out to Nikon for obviously Nikon controller there. Beautiful. A lot easier to use handbrake to manipulate a lot of the drifts on controller, because on wheel I don't really have a handbrake, but a lot of people with handbrakes are gonna love it. There we go. And handbrake closed there. Now another thing that you're able to do is 360 degrees, which is very important because you could not do that. For the love, I could not do that in the demo. Well, Keel's trying to fix that. Now again, because it's raining very hard, it's going to be a lot easier to do this right now than it would be regularly, but it is still possible whether the road is wet or dry. But the fact you can do 360s now shows that they have improved the slip curve. And I'll show you what I mean. We'll throw the car out and bring it back in like so. Well, kind of through that because we hit some fences, but we'll try that again. So I'll try this again right now. We'll throw the car out. I'll just probably try like that. There we go. So yes, it is possible to do 360s now. And if I brake it myself. Oh, I thought my wheel was straight. There we go. So now possible, and that does happen whether you do it in dry weather or wet weather. It's just obviously different types of grip levels depending on what you're doing. Now the next thing I want to show is at the racetrack, because many of you will remember me on the racetrack in one of my demo videos. and I can easily show you a comparison between the demo and improvements that I've seen here in France, and we'll take a look at that right now. First thing I'm gonna notice, well, again, it is raining, so it's different type of texture, but I think the force feedback roughly is going to be the same. You'll see what I mean. You might remember I could not drift this corner very easily, but the force feedback is so much smoother now. It is possible for me to do that. And on top of that, again, it is raining, so it might change the actual speed we can take this corner at. However, remember when I couldn't turn the wheel to do tight turns? That is now possible. And I'll show you again at the larger tight turn that we have up ahead. So here we go, put in second, around the same speed. You can see I now don't need to cross my arms over any more than that to do the same turn compared to the demo. And that makes playing on 900 degrees beautiful. Let's see if I can do this properly this time. There we go. Might have swung out a little bit too wide, but no, we're good. And again, the slip curve transition, a lot more smooth compared to the other racers. So we are in the Lamborghini Huracan, and I'll show you guys some improvements per se. As I told you, no longer need to cross your arms over to do the tight turns. And I'll show you on this upcoming corner. Exactly like the Mustang. And again, this is on 900 degrees. How the game should be. There we go. Other turn. Beautiful. So, grip has improved as well. And if I want to try and drift this, you can see you can't really drift all-wheel drive that easily. There's no drift mode in an all-wheel drive vehicle like so compared to other games. And that's again the slip curve. That's where it comes in. That was a bad turn. But that's that. And just to show you guys that you don't need rain to do 360s, which again, being able to do 360s as an improvement shows a lot about the slip curve. So we'll do this again, throw it back. If only I could do it without hitting any fences, but you guys get the point. That's the improvement that you see there. Another thing that I noticed I could not do in the demo was do a donut around this roundabout. Couldn't tell you why that was just not possible, but there we go. Now it's possible to do it. And that's just the tweaks that I think all of us have been asking for. I think everyone was kind of enjoying the physics in TDFC. All they needed was some tweaks. The core was there. If they tweaked it and it made it feel better, I think a lot more people would have enjoyed it, which is basically what we're seeing right now. The drifting, now that the drifting and like grip loss portion has been tweaked to something that's better to control and something that's easier for players to kind of reduce the fact of them spinning out, we could all do this. And let's see if we could do a... Like, that would have not been possible in the demo at all. I'm sure of that. 100% sure of that. And I'll do a 360 as well. I'm gonna hit that car. So, nice to see some improvements from Kiloton in the physics department. And I think, especially if you enjoy the demo in the physics, but you felt that there are some issues that needed to be addressed, I think you'll enjoy this as well. And before I forget, they've improved something that a lot of us really needed to see improved. And that's just going over curbs. The suspension has been improved. And you'll notice this the most when you go over those pesky little speed bumps. All right, so Kiloton have fixed it. Let's drive over and let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. You might remember here, and I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Dubs or someone. But let's take a look at the improved suspension over bumps. It's a small thing, but it's a very important thing that needed to happen. That you might remember that going over bumps made your car kind of bounce up. And now that they've improved that, that makes this so much more fun in general. And obviously going to car parks a lot more realistic as well. As you can see here again, none more of that nonsense. So that's the physics improvements that I think a lot of us are going to be very happy about, seeing that Kiloton have fixed it. And again, nothing that wasn't really possible, just doing this. And that is something that is so small, but yet so big. And I think it just speaks wonders to how well it's been tweaked, because being able to do that is what every game should be doing, except when you kind of mess it up there. Sorry, mass accidents here. We'll do it going this way. But again, because the demo was very easy to kind of lose control, and the slip curve wasn't as easy, I'd say, it was a lot harder to do, like side-to-side drifts. But it's all the small tweaks that we've requested. And Rise of 5, if you're watching this, thank you. Because Rise of 5 was talking to me about how you should be able to do something like this on wheel with the physics. But now, you finally can. Okay, so here we are with the 01 Corvette, which I will not be able to do myself. The same clip. High speed, show some grip improvements, as well as a drifting mechanic. Because I think all the tweaks combined into one is what makes this so much better on wheel compared to the demo. If I'm being real and honest, you guys, the demo wasn't very favorable. I had to force play on wheel, and forcing it kind of felt like TD2, and I don't want that again. But now it's finally immersive. We'll put it in third gear because this is a very short corner. There we go. And now we'll take the exit. There we go. We'll have to hit that though. Another thing that's been improved, sounds. Whoops, didn't mean to knock that over. And yeah, so the missing pole, because this is my second attempt at trying to do this. So let's see if we can drift down. Not the easiest car to use to try and drift down, but luckily, because it is easier to drift. Let's get back to the whole developer chat and developer interview thing. Let's take a look at what I can show you next. Beautiful. So that right there is the physics improvements in Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown. Now, I want to point out, grip was not compromised. In fact, to be fair, grip racing in TDSC was probably one of the best parts about the demo. However, the issue was when you started to lose traction and you got that very aggressive slip curve in action. So now we have the best of both worlds. We have proper grip racing, and right when you actually start to lose traction, it also feels very good with a smooth transition, and now it's playable on wheel and controller. And of course, finally, you don't have to force play 900 degrees on wheel. You can now barely have to turn the wheel, and now the vehicle reacts to it. Force feedback again improved. And overall, I'm pretty impressed with how soon they were able to implement these fixes for us, not only just the suspension, which of course includes rolling over as well. That doesn't mean that it's impossible to roll over. However, it's worth noting I haven't been able to get myself to roll over. So do know it might still be possible under the right circumstances, but with this fixed suspension, I think it's definitely a lot better and improved, and there's a lesser chance of it happening. So nice to see Kiloton do all those improvements in that short time span. And hopefully we continue up to launch and see some improved optimizations, because that is as well a very important part to the puzzle. I didn't really ask about optimization because, again, as I said earlier, you can't really ask the developer what is your goal for your recommended targets, because you don't really know. That's just me being honest, guys, and that's the same thing for the developers. They're going to try the hardest to get this game optimized as possible, and fingers crossed the best outcome comes and serve us when the game launches. And if you did miss it, Traxion did do an interview with Guillaume as well, where he covered optimization more thoroughly, which if you want to check that out, link in the description below, and you guys can see it up on the screen right now. This little thing right here. I highly recommend you check it out. It had some nice little bits of information in it. But yeah, let's continue on with the video. The first part is going to kind of cover things post-launch and just his community feedback as he talks about it, how they implement it, and all that type of stuff. So here's this first part. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you later. Are there any more surprises for the community about TDRC's launch?
I think people didn't see all the island because
Yeah.
some districts were blocked during the demo, and many vehicles. Yeah, we kind of expect you to love this game as much as we do, but we are working on different things to fix about what the community report us. Maybe we have some priority in fixing the issues, because some issues reported by the community are more important than others. But it's okay.
What are some key differences in TDUSC's post-launch schedule compared to other games like Forza Horizon and Motorfest?
I think it's really different because we are building our game with the community. Our position is to listen to people and build the game with the different feedbacks, what the tendencies are during the development. For now, we see some of the of what people want, and it changed our cap, but for sure we have a cap. We want to do something with test drive, but we are listening to the community. So it's different because we build with you the next test drive, the future of test drive. So yeah.
Can the community expect more garage space post-launch?
Maybe we are working on a solution now. Maybe not the one you imagine, because there is a lot to do in test drive, and maybe something is coming bigger than you think. But of course.
All right. What are your thoughts on adding fuel to the game? That's a big request from the community.
Not gonna speak about it. I have ideas. But yeah, of course, people don't want. How to put it in the test drive is always a question, because you want it, but you don't want it every time. How you manage that? We are working on something. Maybe we are thinking it's not announced. We are looking for like any other content. Is it possible to see like something else, like real estate, like police, like everything? It's a possibility. It's a possibility we are looking for.
It's just the TDU franchise evolving through the community to build literally, hopefully, one of the best games. I mean, TDU was arguably one of the best games of all time from what we remember. But coming back to bring it back and get to that same point, you have to evolve it with the community, and eventually you'll get there. So I'm very excited with this feature. Can you explain how you'll be taking the community feedback to help evolve the game throughout the whole life of this franchise?
I think there is different type of feedbacks. The little feedbacks can be easily integrated, and just we can just adjust the game and put the little things in the game. There is no problem with it. The key binding a problem, the problem with the handling of the car, it's okay. We can just adjust. It's a little things. It's okay. For the big features, like maybe I don't know. There is many features you want, we have to manage with the whole team to put it in the schedule. Where we can do that, because we have different teams working on different part of test drive. At some point, we have to make them available to do the content you want. So all the feedbacks are good. Continue to give feedbacks, because it's really important to us. Never stops. And I think we're gonna do together the best test drive. It's really important, you know.
Yes. Will we see custom license plates post-launch?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe. No. Like I told you, we have some ideas. Some things are on our plates. But it's something in something else. We kind of receive the message.
So I guess we'll have to wait and see then what happens. So now that you've heard about the post-launch stuff and what you might assume are some teases into the future of the whole Test Drive franchise, let's talk about the next part, which goes into more of the improvements of the game, such as things as region lock, player groups, and more. So let's go ahead and watch this part of the developer chat. Can you explain to us what the Solar Pass is? I'm going to go in about just some things that will help people pre-order the game, just to understand, because it hasn't really been talked about. So the Solar Pass, can you tell us about what that is?
Yeah, Solar Pass is a progression system that has been added to the game, where you can access to special rewards through the season, season reward. As much as you play the game, you will win reward. So
basically, the Solar Pass is as what you would have expected. Imagine it like Need for Speed Unbound's Pass or Motorfest Pass, but they definitely want to put it in a way that doesn't piss off the player base. So it's not going to be pay to win. It won't be any of that nonsense. And honestly, there are things that I know about it, but I think it's best if Makan kind of explain it, because it's going to be much easier and better if they market it themselves, show you guys exactly how it works, the process behind it. However, personally, after hearing how it works, I think it's done in a fair way, and a way where it's not pay to win, in a way where it's not kind of scummy or predatory or any of that type of BS. But again, that's my opinion. Hopefully you guys feel the same way about it when you hear about it. I'm sure you're going to learn about it before the game launches. Not sure when, but again, we have about 2 months left, so at some point you're gonna have to hear about it. Fingers crossed it's sooner rather than later anyways, but that's Solar Pass in the gist of it. The game's cameras are pretty important to the player, and a dynamic camera is something that has been asked a lot. Is that something you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, for sure. We are looking for different solutions. We have different type of players. You know, it's difficult in a test drive to propose the perfect vision, because you can need different cams for different situations. So my position and the position of the team about it is to propose, not maybe at the start, but in the next months, different cam for the player with different settings. Maybe the best cam for what they do at some point. I think we can, when you drift, you don't need the same cockpit cam as we did for the launch. For the launch, we set up this cam we have in the game for the demo, because they are working for the game and they are perfect for the game, for what you have to do at this point. But in the next season, we have already started to work on different cam for match the expectation of the different players. So the game's cameras. Now, that is something that is going to be improved for the game. However, as Guillaume does say, it's not going to be in there at launch. I mean, every vehicle is going to have a different camera setting, because, well, not every car is the same height or the same length or the same width, so the camera needs to make sure it's debugged for every single vehicle that's in the game. That being said, static camera is going to be an option. The semi-dynamic camera, which is what we currently have and what you guys have been seeing, the gameplay that I've been showing you, is basically what's going to be there at launch, and it's going to be there for the foreseeable future. Now, there is another one they're working on, which during my time in Paris, I did explain to Guillaume how it works and what the fan base is looking for that specific dynamic camera. Basically, you're looking for something like Forza Horizon 5 or Motorfest, where the vehicle turns a lot more before the camera does. At the moment, the camera kind of turns just as the vehicle does, which makes it semi-static, is what I like to say. But I understand people are looking for a full dynamic option. However, again, like always, it's going to take some time to implement, because you don't want to half-ass things like this. If you put out a half-ass camera, for all we know, it might make some players sick, it might make some players hate it more than the current camera. So it has to be done perfectly, and as he said, they're going to give us settings, basically full options, so we can make our own camera ourselves in terms of how dynamic it is. I'm sure the FOV, the distance, etc. So that is in the works, it's in development, we just don't know when it's going to come. Obviously not at launch, but post-launch is the option. Let's go on to the next question. Now, to be totally transparent, this is where a question got cut from the video. Now, unfortunately, it's not anything bad, it's not covering anything controversial. In fact, it's a pretty big plus. However, I can't show it to you or tell you about it now. I'm sure there'll be some time in the future where I can tell you guys and talk to you about it, and when I can, I'll tell you that this moment is where it's from. So nonetheless, let's continue on to the next part of the interview. Regarding convoys being 4 players only, do you have a solution for that, for those who want to join with maybe up to 8 players?
or figure something out for that?
Something is really cool about test drive. You have to roam together.
Yeah.
We took the choice at the launch to put 4 players in groups.
Yeah.
For a reason. It's for balancing. It's easier. If people want to have 8 people in a group at some point, we change that to find some solution. For sure, for ranked, it's a big problem for competition. Because you have the elo boosting and everything. So, but we will manage something. If it's important, for sure we will manage something. So this one's kind of interesting. Now, they took the choice at launch for balancing, and the reason behind this is because, well, streets versus sharp climb races are 4v4s, so balancing for that kind of makes sense. Fair enough. All right. However, let's all be honest here. The group player 4 is just not something that I can really say I love or enjoy. It's not, I mean, it's a TDU game, for heaven's sake. It's all about the large fan bases, all about large cruises, large meetups, stuff like that. So I really do hope that this improves. And of course, this was indeed on the feedback list, and this is something that Guillaume and I had a conversation about in terms of region lock, how to kind of find a solution behind it, and the whole 4-player group thing. So feedback that you guys want to see more than 4-player groups. In fact, to be fair, I think they already know that we want to see up to 8-player groups at minimum. And with that, the region lock thing, I do understand to some extent, because, well, the ping wise, if you're going to play a ranked race and ping is pretty important, you don't really want someone lagging behind in a ranked race, throwing off your dojo, throwing off your Irv, or accidentally ramming you, because that's what ping might do. They might show you ramming them, but on their screen, they're not even touching you. So things like that might affect the ranked experience, which I understand region locked. However, the easy way and the solution that I think is fair for everyone, where both sides can get a fair say, is region lock still stays, and ranked is still region locked. You still have your region locked for the game. However, you're able to do a couple of things. Now, the first thing, and I also did bring this up as well, leaderboards. Now, shout out to DJ Customs who brought this up, but leaderboards is a big thing in the game. And obviously, if it's region locked, you don't know if you're truly the fastest racer, because, well, maybe NA is better than EU, right? It's kind of rare, but hey. Anyways, it would be nice to have a leaderboard section which shows us comparing our region ranks in the leaderboard in terms of races, post, like, your post race time, and another leaderboard that shows the worldwide rankings. So just simple like that, 2 different ranking leaderboards. Imagine if you were playing Valorant and you could see where you placed on the EU leaderboard, like the global ranking versus your EU nation leaderboards. Just something like that. Seems simple to implement. It's just like showing another database, showing all of the times in the global rankings. I mean, for all we know, that's harder developing than it actually is saying, as game development normally goes, but that's one solution that we need to have to see. Another thing is that obviously you're able to invite up to 8 people into your group, and this will be region unlocked free. Now, what I mean by that is that you and your friends can still hop into rank. However, the ranked is still solely yourself and your own region. But when you go back to free roam, you're with your friends in a region unlocked free roam server, up to 8 people. Something like that is just a simple solution. So you still have region lock, not affecting the ranked experience. You have your leaderboard, so you can compare it to global versus your region. And of course, you can invite up to 8 of your friends, whether they live halfway across the world or not, and it works flawlessly. Just simple things like that. But leave your comment down in the section below to give some more feedback on that, guys. Maybe I'm wrong and there's a better idea that I haven't heard yet. And as we already heard from what Guillaume said, keep feedbacking on the game. The game won't progress anywhere if no feedback is done. And their stance on it is they will listen to the community, and so far we've already seen them listen quite a fair amount. So that's nice to hear. Now, on the topic of online only and races and all that, I wanted to point out that Kiloton have made a pretty important change to Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown. Now, with that being said, in the demo, when you wanted to start up a race, what you had to do was join a lobby and it counted down for 30 seconds, and then the race started. Now, Kiloton have found a much better quality of life solution, while also probably increasing the chances of you being able to do races by yourself, because now what happens is once you get into a lobby, you can ready up right away, 10 seconds counts down, and then you're into a race. Now, what this means is that you don't really have to wait for players to join in. Of course, this doesn't include ranked, because, well, ranked, you need someone to play with and then the race starts. However, for, of course, races such as the streets and sharps and the regular races, you can now just go straight into the race and start it up as you're seeing it in action right now. Which, to be fair, considering how close to launch we are, I think this is the best case scenario in terms of a solution where
increasing your chances to play alone, where also a quality of life, so you know you don't have to wait 30 seconds every time to get into a race in a racing game. Am I right? So very nice to see Kiloton improve that. Let's continue on.
Is there anti-cheat in the game, and how's it going to work? Is my next question.
Yes, there is an anti-cheat in the game. I'm not gonna say how it works because because if you say how an anti-cheat is working, it's not an anti-cheat. But I think we have a solution for sure. You can create an anti-cheat, a perfect anti-cheat, until you have cheaters on your game. You have to adapt in front of the cheaters how they cheat. Of course, we'll put the team behind it at the point if it's a problem. Of course, we know that it's gonna be something we have to do.
So anti-cheat is a big thing, obviously, and that is in the game. It is present. However, there are some things that I don't think anti-cheat will catch, and that's obviously corner cuts, which we saw in the demo. Going through barriers, being able to get shorter times just by doing nonsense like that, in my opinion, isn't what we really want to see. I mean, you could do it in Forza Horizon, and this ruins the racing experience because I'll be taking the logical race line, not cutting through, and then you'll have someone cut through, and you'll be like, "That's a cut? What? Nah, man." And then you'll have to start playing like that, and it just ruins the whole experience, in my opinion. And I think a lot of you guys can agree with that as well. So any type of system that can be implemented to stop that and prevent it from happening is, my opinion, something that needs to happen for this game to also strive, because you don't want to have people ramming you, making shortcuts, ruining the whole player experience for races, and especially in ranked races, because that is where it's going to be super important the most anyways. So I did feedback that to them as well. I showed them videos. I forgot the name of the person, but you know who you are. You sent me some videos of corner cuts and all that. I did show those videos and explain it to them, and they understand that that is something that they don't want to happen. And actually, before I even showed it to them, they were aware of that. So I think they saw a comment on Discord or something like that where they mentioned that to me. I'm like, oh, okay, it's nice you guys are aware of that. But let's move on to the next portion of the developer interview.
Tristan, I know, obviously speaking with you from earlier, taking the feedback from the community, giving it to you as well, presenting it. It was no game like it before, so again, it's nice to see you guys take on the challenge to bring that back to life, and I'm excited for it.
I think people is gonna love the things that they were at the beginning of the game and just telling to the others coming, I was telling you they're gonna do that. I was telling you from the start, it was impossible to do it, telling you like that.
My next question is, will we be seeing a post-launch roadmap before the game releases?
Yeah, for sure. Don't know when. But don't know precisely the date. We're gonna have a roadmap for sure.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say to the community in terms of the future of the test drive game, or anything you think they'd want to hear from you?
Hope you enjoy the demo for what we show you at this time, and I hope you will love the game at the release, and you're not prepared for the next months. It's what I can tell you.
So we are not prepared for what's coming up next. And honestly, when the post-launch roadmap does drop, I hope you guys are excited to hear and see what the future of Test Drive holds. There's a bright future. There's a lot to do to this game and the whole franchise in general. And I think some people will be pretty happy about it. It is going to take some time. Unfortunately, it is going to take some time to do. But knowing that they do care about the franchise and knowing that they do listen goes a long way to help building that whole community for the future of the whole Test Drive franchise. So that being said, that was the developer chat that I had with Guillaume, and of course little snippet that you saw from Roman, who was of course the the animation artist at Kiloton. So that's it from those two. Now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at a sound document from Adam, who is the sound designer at Kiloton. He's gonna show us basically how they implement some sounds and also show us some pretty nice details about TDSC. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so to give you a little bit of insight into how the sound design in Kiloton is done, I'm here with one of the developers who's gonna show me sound and how it's done.
I'm Adam, I'm sound designer at Kiloton. So you maybe heard before of Kevin Dedou,
Yes.
Who is the lead, associate lead, sorry, for this project.
So if you don't know already, Kevin Dedou is one of the lead sound artist designers at Kiloton, and he's the one that made this beautiful Audi TT sound. And there's an interview covering it as well, which I'll leave up on the screen for you guys to go ahead and read, and probably put it down in the description below. If I forget, let me know in the comments so I can add it to the description quickly. But he's just one of the guys who made that, and obviously he's the lead sound designer there, so you should already be aware about him. Let's continue on the next portion. Now, the sound design team at Kiloton work on a lot of things, from the car sounds to world sounds, voice, musical implementation, technical implementation, creation, UI, basically everything to do with sound they'll work on. So let's see what Adam's going to talk to us during the whole developer chat that I have with him. Let's go. Of course, starting off with step one of this whole sound design thing for vehicles, sourcing the audio file.
So the first step is to know what engine for a car by a sound record.
So first they find a sound record, whether it be on YouTube, a pole position, or anywhere. They just source an audio clip for whatever engine they're looking for. And then let's go over to the next step, which is going to be choosing the sounds and the volumes. So let's take a look at what Adam is going to talk to us about next.
This one, this one, this one. So now we start to work, choose what we want as a microphone. So you can see here, I choose the volume, I touch a lot, and we get this. So this is our start.
So once Adam finds the correct microphones and the sound he wants, he's going to start adding some effects to it, which you guys are going to see here. Step 3.
We have some low, really big low, this.
These audio effects, as he mentioned, reduces the low, also improves the overall quality of the sound before it gets implemented to the engine. So with that being said, you're going to hear the difference in this clip. Okay. And now that you can kind of hear the differences between the audio effects on and off, basically RTX on and off, you could probably get the gist of what's going to be done next. So next part is actually implementation into the game's engine. So let's take a look at that.
So for that, we need to look at the harmony of the engine. So for example here, I will tell him to take all you see at green as reference. So I'll begin to track, he's looking, and now he has done his deduction, so when I go down, you know how to translate this. Okay. So we do this processing with engine and exhaust, and we will create files. So the file we create, we're gonna drop it inside. And you can see we are a lot of options. Yeah. And we link this option into game information. So game will send us RPM, for example. Yeah. And we're gonna say, okay, so this RPM, we're gonna link this. And when you play, when you move the RPM, the sound moves.
So basically, once they have that part done, they're next going to work with some other type of specifications about the game. Things such as the limiter, engine load, just an audio for all of that, transmission, for example. Also the game's cameras, so when you look left, how's the audio going to react when you look right, etc, etc. Stuff like that that make the overall game sound experience immersive. So the room around us is 5.1, you said, dimensional, so I can hear it basically as if my headset was on. And we have the MC20 here.
So this is how we hit before.
Yeah.
When it's in game, it sounds like this.
So you work on that as well then?
Yes, for example, this is one of my work. So yeah, I did this reverb. I did this one too.
Wow.
So now we can hear the sound.
Yeah. So now they got a quick little intro on how the sound design for TDC is done. Let's take a look at the Porsche Taycan, which was, believe it or not, done all in-house using synthwave. Let's see what Adam is going to tell us about next.
Taycan, we designed a lot of wave.
Yeah.
Simple audio.
These are sounds you guys made yourself?
Yes. Everything is done from synthesis and manipulation of sound as a turbine, wind, everything we find.
Okay.
For example, this is synthesis sound.
Okay.
And when we take everything,
the best is the chime when you start the Taycan.
and this is one of my songs. It's just synthesis, basically.
So huge shout out to Adam for giving me a little intro to how the sound design of TDSC is done. There's so much more that I learned at the studio, so much more things that I can't wait to talk to you guys about. Unfortunately, now is not the time. But at some point, as more things become public knowledge, I can speak more, and I can't wait for that to happen. And there's a lot more things going on behind the scenes than you may know it. So fingers crossed the launch and continued development of TDC goes well. We already had a little feedback document, which, speaking of, I did get to see the polls of all your reactions in terms of the feedback document, the link that was sent where you had to respond to some questions. Some responses did surprise me, and honestly, I can't wait, and I do hope that Kilton act on them with all the ideas that they have, put them into process, and get it happening. This game has potential, and I know not every TDU fan is going to enjoy this game at launch. I know it. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I already know not every single fan is going to love it at launch. However, for me, I cannot stop stressing to Kilton the improvements and everything, because I know at some point this game has the potential to not only bring back every TDU fan that once enjoyed the whole TDU franchise, but on top of that, just bring more people and try to make its way to hopefully the best open world racing game again. It once was, but it's not there yet. But with the continued development and the feedback that we provide to them, and Kilton listening, and huge shout out to the conference thing as well, not only on the communication aspects, but you know, delaying the game and not forcing it out, stuff like that. It's a very rare occasion for us to see this happen. Fingers crossed we get to see the whole franchise change, and we see the added success of the Test Drive franchise back. But that's all I have to say for this developer doc, guys. I hope you did enjoy. I hope it kind of give you insight into the physics, the future of the game, where Killzone's stance is, the feedback they received and everything. And just know, I'm actively giving feedback to the developers. It does not stop, as Guillaume said. Keep on feedbacking. It never stops. Development never stops. And this is a game that they want to see last for a long time. And there's going to be more information dropping in the coming weeks as well, up until launch, as we've seen a post-launch schedule is going to be posted as well from the con when the time comes. And yeah, there's a lot more. So I can't wait to talk to you guys again about Test Drive with Mr. Crown. I'm Alex7, and I'll see you guys in another one. Enjoy the nice little ending scene that I have with Guillaume. I'll see you guys in another one. Peace.
Test Drive with Mr. Crown. Thank you so much, Guillaume.
Bye, Alex.
I will hopefully see you again
in 1 year, maybe.
Yeah, exactly 1 year again. Next year, June. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you guys enjoyed as well. Especially all the little insights to the game's development, and in terms of sound design, the camera being worked on. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Alex7, and you should do my outro.
Yeah. It was Alex7, the famous content creator of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.
Thanks, guys. See you.